I don't know what you think about this crazy analogy. This is Joey Badass of Canto food.
Continuing our Cantonese investigative series, we head to Chinatown, Los Angeles. In the past couple decades, the rise of Chinese suburbs around the country, such as the SGV, Flushing, and South Bay, have impacted Chinatown's relevance. But in an old but hipsterized plaza, a second-generation Toisan chef is rediscovering the beauty of Canto deli foods right where his family started over 30 years ago.
Hi, Johnny Lee. I'm the owner of Pearl River Deli here in Chinatown. The mission of Pearl River Deli is for the appreciation, preservation, and evolution of Cantonese cuisine. Cantonese cuisine is most similar to me to Kyoto cuisine, where it's very much about ingredient driven, don't use too many spices, and it's all about just bringing out the best flavor of the natural state of the ingredients of whatever's in season. Japanese food, for some reason, is always relegated to like sushi, ramen, or Vietnamese food is like pho and banh mi, right? Because it's just easier for the food media to like stereotype and categorize, and then I think the problem is we just tend to play along with it, right? Because for me, it's all about the techniques. As long as we preserve the techniques, it doesn't really matter because we can apply them to any ingredient. I feel very strong obligation to be cooking this food now.
This shop's decor is pretty bare bones, but the food carries a much deeper meaning. The menu is intentionally small, ensuring higher quality for each dish.
All right, David, we got an amazing spread here from Chef Johnny. We have everything on the menu. And our first item that we are starting off with is the Macanese pork chop bun.
Juice pork, pa's chop, ju pa bao, pork chop bun. Bao is a bun.
Okay, traditionally this dish does come from Macau. They usually don't do it on the bolo bun, but he said that he started seeing it being done in Macau, and then that's what inspired him to do it. There's Maggi sauce mixed into the mayo. There's caramelized onions. This pork chop is grilled perfectly. Ju pa bao, pork chop bun. It's incredible. That is so good. And I think the most unique thing about this sandwich that you're gonna see is that the pork chop still has the bone in it. Now that might be kind of weird because you're thinking, oh, how am I gonna eat a sandwich with a bone in it? But you just eat around it. And I was talking to Johnny and he kind of gave me a new perspective on why Chinese people love eating off the bone so much. He's like, yo, we love eating off the bone because we love seeing that it's like real fresh meat. It's literally right off the bone.
Eating the pork chop off the bone, not only does it indicate freshness to people who are really into food, but it's just aesthetic. It looks cool on Instagram too.
You will not find this dish at a normal Cantonese restaurant. Even a Hong Kong style restaurant, it will be very hard to find this.
For me, the acidity from the tomato and the onion, that's where it's at. You can see the innovation that is going down here at Pearl River Deli. Probably gonna be the innovation that Cantonese food needs to have to continue almost any popularity amongst the younger generation.
And you know what's modern about this spot is that they're keeping their menu pretty small, so that means every single item is gonna be top-notch in quality and taste. I do think one of the weaknesses sometimes of those Cantonese restaurants that has like, 100 to 200 items is that it's a crapshoot. You don't know which ones are actually gonna be good. But when you have a small menu, it's better so that there's less options for people.
Next up, we've got the pork ribs, a classic pai quat.
This dish is pretty much like the char siu, except on bone.
This is a classic Chinatown dish. You guys might be more familiar with it looking very red. Honestly, it's like a shortcut style.
Yeah, no, I think they cut more of the ribs in smaller pieces. Rarely do you see it intact.
And that actually tastes a lot like how mom used to make them growing up.
Johnny told me they sous vide the ribs and the pork before they grill it. Damn, you clean that off, man. Ginger scallion sauce, one of my favorite condiments in the entire world. Boom, ginger scallion noodles, just like that.
The different ways you could sauce up wonton meat. Obviously here, we could go with a little bit of soy sauce. We could also go with some of the chili.
David, you are gonna notice that wonton meat is very, very fluffy and soft. It is not extra chewy. I would not say it's al dente. All right, next up we got the char siu. This is Chef Johnny Lee's own way of doing it. Like I said, he sous vides the pork for a really long time, making sure it's juicy and tender. And then he grills it, he glazes it, but not with like the high fructose corn syrup and the glucose. This is supposed to be very smoky.
Wow.
Now, obviously back then they didn't use the sous vide method, but what Chef Johnny did tell me is that he grills the pork, which is actually how it originally was cooked, as opposed to right now, a lot of people serve it in the horizontal ovens. I've had really expensive char siu before, David, and this is giving me that same vibe.
I'm pretty torn between the char siu pork ribs and the char siu slices.
Oh, that's a tough one, man. I'm
gonna go with the ribs, but it's 50-50.
Okay, coming back to the buns, we have this char siu egg sandwich on a bolo bun. The egg with the char siu stir-fried, kind of like omelet, is actually a pretty traditional kind of Hong Kong food.
Right, you can get it in a sandwich in Hong Kong. Less common in America, but you can still see it, char siu dan.
That is so good. My God. You know in Hong Kong, they love a good egg sandwich, bro. This is one of the best ones I've ever had.
The key was the gigantic pieces of chashu. A lot of times they're gonna make that with just the minced red chashu.
It's not just about making Cantonese food more expensive by sprinkling truffle oil on it or infusing French techniques. Sometimes it's just about taking really, really good care of the original.
All right, coming up next, we got the classic Cantonese dish, pork belly with preserved veggies, AKA mu choi kao.
This is actually a chiu jiao dish in origin.
Dude, look at this big slab.
That's high quality.
It's falling apart in my mouth right now. And I'll tell you this, man, Cantonese love their pork, man, no doubt.
The way the preserved radish came together, man, that was so subtle, it was so nice. I've never had mu choi kao that tasted that subtle, but that high quality at the same time.
Sometimes when you get at the restaurant, the pork belly will be a little bit overcooked, or because you know restaurants, they have it sitting around, they reheat it, but this was cooked perfect. Okay, last but not least, on this elevated Canto deli menu, we have the silky shrimp scramble.
I didn't expect to see this dish on the menu, to be honest.
Yeah, this is like a dish that you just kind of get at like the Hong Kong spot. It's like a snack, you know, it's just egg and shrimp. But man, the way he does it with the quality, the size of the shrimp, he cuts them in half. There's tons of scallions. You know I love scallions. It's bringing the tradition back because like, I think sometimes people are kind of locked in time and they look at a dish and it's like, oh, that's for old people, I don't want to eat that. But I was like, yo, I mean, there's a way that it's accessible.
Reinvented, evolved comfort foods.
Super good, but I haven't tried the top sauce yet. Boom.
I think even just the fact that the shrimp were like butterflied and cut in half. You know what I love is that actually the prices here are really, really reasonable. Yes, are they a little bit more than your classic BBQ Express spot on the corner? Absolutely. But it's not too much more. It might be like $4 more. Well worth the $5 increase.
I don't know what you think about this crazy analogy. This is Joey Badass of Canto food. Because you know how Joey Badass is kind of like a flash from the past. He's kind of like a true school rapper, but relevant nowadays and making it hot and accessible for the younger audience. This is like what Chef Johnny is doing.
The way you're comparing Canto deli food or Canto food in general with 90s boom bap. I mean, J. Cole and Joey Badass both have a lot of 90s boom bap influence. Dreamville as an entire record label has a lot of 90s influence.
This is the Joey Badass and J. Cole of Canto deli food. Quote me on it.
Bringing it back, but with innovation and evolution.
One of the OGs in LA Chinatown. What's happening is the Cantonese cuisine is slowly disappearing because it's bringing in more Mandarin style cooking, you know, instead of Cantonese.
It is a little less punchy with the flavors. It's a little more subtle.
From Australia originally. I came back specifically today to eat these things.
我觉得它还是比较传统。
I really appreciate places that are keeping in mind heritage but also adding a spin to it.
There's a real danger, I think, in the experience being diluted. There used to be a feeling where you were kind of discovering something cool and new, and I feel like that's missing a lot of places now.
They don't want to fall back in their ancestors' footsteps. They want money easy. They don't want to work for it.
It's important to support people who are doing things that they believe in, whether it's trying to preserve things or innovate, or trying to combine both of them. Eating here is my way of supporting the culture. This is my activism.
You don't want a slat outlook in life. You better eat more Chinese food.
How do we get stuck believing that our own culture wasn't worth more? Why can't Cantonese get excited about Cantonese food? Maybe some respect for the process was lost along the way. I mean, immigrants had to support their families, so cultural capital was the last thing on their mind. But now that the later generations are much more comfortable, not in survival mode, what are we gonna do to be respected? What are we gonna do that's cool?
I mean, Andrew, what Chef Johnny is doing here is so important because you have to have innovation, inevitably avoid elimination.
He said he's not reinventing the wheel. He's not flipping Cantonese cuisine on its head. For most of these dishes, he's actually just bringing it back to the roots of it, how it's originally cooked, but then just elevating the ingredients and some of the techniques. And I think that's so beautiful because I think this is how it lasts. Because if you just keep it the same really, really cheap style, you know, that's good for some people, but it's not gonna reach the masses. It's never gonna be hot again.
Put this on a modern boom bap playlist on Spotify. Boop.
Hey, John, you gotta play boom bap here. David, what was your favorite thing? Very strong.
I gotta go, honestly, the pork chop sandwich, the chashu egg sandwich, or either the chashus, whether it was the chashu pork ribs or the chashu slices. I think there was, value to both.
David, you just named half the menu.
Yeah. But I gotta say, even the mu choi kao yok, which is the braised pork belly with the chiu jiao pickled greens, I've never had it done like that either, so.
Hell yeah. And you know me, I'm a really big fan of people doing different takes on comfort food because comfort food is so simple that when you make it different, it's like really amazing to me. So this silky shrimp scramble to me was like so impressive, and it blew my mind. I mean, it's still eggs and shrimp, but it's just a version I've never had before.
This is the second video in our Canto series where we are covering Cantonese food, where it's at, where it's going in America. In this episode, we wanted to highlight people that are trying to preserve, appreciate, and evolve the cuisine and how they're doing it.
All right, guys, if you guys want to check out Pearl River Deli, you guys got to check it out in LA. They are really trying to keep, Cantonese deli food alive in Chinatown, LA. In the comments down below, please let us know another idea for a dish that they should have on the menu, because menu's great, but it's kind of small. So what's another dish you would like to see here at Pearl River Deli?
Shout out to Johnny Lee, man. I think he dropped a lot of knowledge, and he made me think about some stuff, challenge some assumptions I had, and he's pushing it forward.
Man, we just got to get out there, be aware, adapt, and do things. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode. Make sure to give this a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and be on the lookout for the next episode of the Canto series. Until next time, we out. Peace.
You saying that the Howling Raise line is a little bit like everybody who's like a Gunna or Lil Baby or the Baby fan in 2020?
If we're thinking about it in terms of hip hop, I think that's what I'm rolling with. I'm rolling with that analogy.